Who's ready for the next conversation? Fabulous. I'm actually really looking forward to this one. 100 million followers. We did it. I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Would you like to have 100 million followers on social media and make some shmoney? Yeah? Let's learn a little bit more about it. Hands together. Round of applause. Let's get into it.
How is everybody doing? Amazing, amazing. Who here works in the social media space? Could I have some hands up? Who here is here to learn about the social media space? Can I get some hands up? Okay, cool. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start off by introducing both of ourselves. So funny story. In case you didn't notice, this is not Kit, right? So, but we got somebody better. I'm sure Kit's not going to mind that.
Darker version as well, a bit darker.
The Black Tech Fest. So I'm going to start out first with a bit of an intro about myself, and then I'll let Ahmed jump in, and then we're just going to go on a back and forth about storytelling, community, and how to build 100 million followers, if we will, from both of our perspectives. So first and foremost, my name is Elfried Samba. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Butterfly Effect. Before Butterfly Effect, I spent 7 years at a company called Gymshark. Some Gymshark massive over there. I set it all up. So we spent time over there building Gymshark's social community over there. And then afterwards, we thought that we could do that with more brands, so we created our own agency to help other brands grow into unicorn status. And that's me. Ahmed, do you want to go?
Amazing. And my name's Ahmed, CEO of Dose of Society. So we've been going on for about 7 years now. And we started off on the streets of London, where we would simply interview random strangers in the streets and share their thoughts and perspective what's going around the world. Fortunately, first 2 years, we received our first bit of investment from Snapchat, moved over to LA, changed our lives. 5 years on, we're currently at 20 people working for us at the company at the moment, over 7 million followers and 10 billion views across social media. And we simply specialize around content, community, and also now commerce. So how can we build various content strategies across those society, build communities alongside the content, and now how can we implement commerce around these communities and content? So that's the quick story in 7 years.
Okay, so we both did 7 years then, right? A whole generation. So we're going to start with, because I know that obviously it's very easy to start from 100 million followers and work backwards, but we're going to go straight from 0 followers, right? And I'll let you kick things off with let's talk about the early days of Dose Society, where you guys had no followers, and how did you go from no followers to getting that first 100 followers?
It's interesting. I think at the start, when you're starting, especially a media company or media platform, right? Because I didn't have my face on there. It wasn't personality-led. So I had to really rely on the stories on the streets. And as you know, well, most of us probably all live in London. And London is an interesting place. A lot of people don't want to talk. A lot of people just, train station, in, out, go home, don't bother me. I haven't got money for you. Don't speak to me. So it was hard. It wasn't easy. But fortunately, obviously, once we've kind of went out on the streets, we got a bit more confident, spoke to interesting people, and we started to realize what works across socials is how do we spark emotion. So once we started to spark a bit of emotion and put it on across social media, people started to resonate around mental health. People start to resonate on insecurities or various topics. And from there, we slowly start to build a community across Facebook first. Instagram didn't have videos back then, so we started on Facebook. And yeah, Facebook, we grew up to 10K. A small community of people, relating to, everyday streets of people across London. But what really kind of started off is understanding how to tell stories and using, human emotion. So that's how we kind of started, understanding human emotion.
Yeah, and I guess I'm going to go even before you even think about creating a page, right? And I think a lot of people want to create social for the wrong reasons. They think about the clout, they think about the fame. You guys at Dose of Society have got people like Kevin Durant, Trevor Noah, all these big people that are interviewing there, right? But before you can get to that point, you almost have to have a blank piece of paper, right? And I think where the journey starts is whether it's a personal brand or whether it is an actual brand, it starts by understanding who you are first and foremost, right? Who are you and what are you looking to serve? So I think a lot of the times people grow businesses or they grow social pages because of what they want to get out of it.
100%.
And I think that the mindset that you have to go into it with is, what am I looking to give back to the world, right? So if you go into it with a service-based mindset, how do I serve, how do I give back, then that's a great place to start. And then you lean into your own special superpower. What helped me was I had a thing called an ikigai, which is basically your true purpose. It's a Japanese, almost like proverb, if you will. And you can do the same thing with your brand. Who is your brand and who is your audience? And once you know who your audience is and where they are and where they spend that time, that's where you start, right? And then the goal becomes, how do we give as much value to that audience? And how do you even know where to start there? It's saying, okay, if this is our audience, who else do they follow? Who else do they engage with? How do they post about stuff? And how can we create a mirror for them to go to?
100%.
Right?
And I think also another big topic, even before then, is the idea of overthinking. I think even when I first started my journey and wanted to, become an entrepreneur, start a media company, get an investment, before all that, the biggest thing, I think, for a lot of people is just starting and doing and not overthinking, sometimes even forget planning. You have to just go out and sometimes just do it and figure out who you are, get the reps in. And even for us, again, we speak to at least over 1,000+ people a week now in different parts of the world, from New York to LA to London, parts of the Middle East. But before that, I couldn't even speak to one single person. It took me 3 to 4 hours to approach one person, because it's a skill, trying to approach someone, a random person, and to get them to tell your their life story in about 2 to 3 minutes was hard. It was hard. But again, the idea of stop overthinking, just go out and doing it, then you can figure out the plan, because then you figure out who you are, what works, what doesn't work, throwing as much stuff out and going out there and actually doing stuff is, probably the most important part before even figuring out what the plan is or who you are, just going out and doing it.
Yeah, and then obviously, back on the topic of overthinking, and I get your words on this because I know where you're going to go. A lot of people overthink about the equipment that you need to create great content, right? How important is the equipment that you use when it comes to growing your following?
Not important at all, to be honest with you. Like, at the start, again, overthinking, didn't have a camera, didn't have a mic, and I was, where can I get this from, blah, de, blah, de, blah. Even at one point, I had to borrow a few stuff and to get started. But then we started to realize that we could just simply use our mobile phones. I don't have it on me, but we could simply use our mobile phones. And that creating content on mobile phones honestly took us from making 5 figures a year to 7 figures a year. Just making content on our mobile phones, not overcomplicating it, making it simple, again, understanding how to use social media and, yeah, equipment, man, like, honestly. Like, even I saw a video, it's a bit off topic, but there's a guy in the favelas just making music. And, like, he's got over, like, 500K followers now. And, like, this guy's in the favelas, has nothing. But yet, what's stopping other people, and this guy, in probably worse circumstances than most people, being able to start and gain a following across social media? The idea of just doing and not overcomplicating it, forget the equipment, forget what your family say, your friends say. Like, it's a hard thing, but once you understand it, change everything.
And just to showcase that it doesn't just work for the media platforms, I nearly lost my job my first month starting Gymshark, right? And I'll tell you why. So when I joined the business, the big ambition was to be the biggest fitness brand in the world, right? And the first thing you do naturally is look at what are the big boys doing, or the big boys and girls doing, and what are they doing, and how do we get closer to them? And that's when we started to introduce like really expensive photography, started spending a lot of money on nonsense, making things look really pretty. And what happened there is I recognized what was hiding in plain sight. The reason why Gymshark was huge and galvanized this community was because they were relatable and unpolished. Have you ever been to a McDonald's, right? And then you see a Big Mac on the screen, right? And how it's like all nice and polished. And you get one in real life, right? And it looks completely different. The thing about Gymshark is they didn't give you the polish. They were just straight and raw. And what we realized is that actually our jobs as people that do marketing, creativity, and social is to make sure that proximity between the audience and the brand never goes further than this. The bigger you get, you start to think that we need to act big, be big, invest in big stuff. And then when that distance goes from here and it starts doing this, that's the closer you are from like going out of business. What we used to say to ourselves all the time is, our biggest competitor or the people we need to watch is not your Nikes, Adidas, and those guys. It's the next 19-year-old Ben Francis, right? That's more unpolished, more raw, closer to the community, and knows how to speak their language better than we do.
Remember, again, these 19-year-olds have nothing to lose, right? Living at home, not paying rent, and that's what kind of changed everything for me. And what's your thoughts as well about building a community now? Because again, I think content and social media has changed massively, where in the early, 2010s, 12, 13s, a lot of people just focused on views, followers, views and followers. And I understand it because there was a massive opportunity on Facebook to make a lot of money, and people did. And I think now it's changed massively. Like, I think people really have to understand when building something across socials, you really have to think about what the content looks like and now the community.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. So I think a lot of people forgot that the world changed after COVID-19. Everyone thinks that COVID-19 was a 2020 thing, right? No, it's a today thing. The world, once you go through an experience that's that big, you never go backwards, you only go forward. And we obviously spent about 2 years being locked up in our rooms and our houses, building these digital relationships, right? So what's happened is, instead of us going a lot closer to Ready Player One and like the metaverse, and you're not hearing a lot of that stuff anymore, right? Instead of us going more into that, what's happened is we've gone backwards, and we're now starting to value real life experiences more, right? So people want to actually not shop digitally, they want to go in person. People don't want to link up on Zoom, they actually want to go and do an experience. That's why there's been such a big growth of things like running clubs, cycling clubs, people coming together and connecting in person. What does that mean? It means that actually, if you want to build, so our company is a community marketing agency. What does that actually mean? Is the art of meaning so much to a niche that they tell everybody else at scale, right? So going back to your question, the art of community right now is to focus on a niche and create depth with them. Actually try to use IRL, so in real life, to disrupt URL, which is online. So if you can bring people together and have a really great experience with them, and you document that digitally, everybody else wants to be a part of that. So, and I think that one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about a brand like Gymshark is they believe that Gymshark's community is digital. No, Gymshark's community is physical. So Gymshark started in the expo world. So they were at Body Power in Birmingham. They were at Arnold Classic in Australia. They actually said, just like festivals like this, they would go to a festival and they will body it. You'll go for the Black Tech Fest, but you'll leave a Gymshark fan. And they did that festival after festival after festival after festival. And then eventually the online audience grew. Do you think that the Gymshark store has been created to make money? No, it hasn't. The competitor at the Gymshark store is not the Nike store, the Lululemon store. It's Madame Tussauds. It's Starbucks. It's places that bring people in one destination to have an experience or to connect. And that's what a lot of people are missing is, whether you're a brand, a storyteller, or whatever it is that you're looking to build, how do you bring people together with a united cause in one place and then build from there and then document?
100%. And I think it's again, overcomplicated, but quite simple. Like, especially COVID, like, a lot of people around the world are lonely. Lonely, looking for a community, looking for a friend, looking for the next opportunity, looking for something. Hence why, again, running clubs and all this stuff people are attending, because, again, something to do, meet a local community, be able to speak about different stuff. And this can easily be, again, translated across social media. For example, what we do, again, at Dose of Society is speaking about issues that we all tend to go through, whether it's about that heartbreak or the loss of a friend or a mother. And people are able to consume content like that and be like, wow, like, I didn't realize, I thought I was the only person going through this, So again, we're able to kind of build communities across social media simply by just putting out stories that every single one of us go through. So simple, but so effective.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we can go into, after this point, we can go into like practical tips about how to actually get started step by step, and I can tee it off. But I think that I have a really bold, like, almost like, I'm not going to say I'm trying to read into the future, but we're obviously at the Black Tech Fest, so we want to make sure that we talk a little bit about tech as well. And obviously the role of AI and the influence that AI will have when it comes to like building community, etc. Now, I have a hunch that in a world where AI technology is democratizing IQ, which is intelligence, data, and information, the brands and people that are going to win are those that are more human, right? So those that lean into EQ are going to be the brands that are going to be the next billion-dollar brands. Because if everybody has access to the same technology, then the quality is the same, then what's going to differentiate you is trust. And the thing that's going to be very rare, and actually I was just doing a podcast before this, right? And they said that ironically, with AI technology driving upwards, they thought that the demand from brands and organizations would be people that know how to use the AI. But actually, storytellers, artists, leaders, even people like podcasters, anyone that's content creators, because right now, well, I don't need somebody to do my maths for me. I don't need somebody to code for me. I don't need somebody to sometimes even copyright for me. But what I need is a conductor. I need more Quincy Jones and less Michael Jackson, right? So I need more the person that can be an architect using this tech and that can conduct other people to work as opposed to somebody that's just really, really smart, right? And now when you're looking at like the talents of people that understand social media, a lot of people think that you have to be just creative to be great at social. I actually think that creativity is the minimum bar, right? There's levels to it, right? And there's 4 levels, and I will say. The first one is obviously creativity, because if you can think differently, and what does creativity actually mean? It means that you have references of things that have worked in culture, and you're able to take something that's worked somewhere and apply it to something that's worked somewhere else. And that's creativity for you, right? It's just that you do that faster than anybody else, right? So the more you experience life, the more you're present when you see creative things happening, and the more you can link things together, the more creative you can be, so it can be learned. The next level down is all about psychology, right? And if you're dealing with humans, in anything that you do, if you understand humans and how humans work, you will always thrive, right? And social, if anything, is behavioral psychology at scale. Because you're saying that by me doing this, it's going to trigger this, and then people are going to act this way. So creativity, then psychology. The next one is platform mechanics. So different platforms are different. How you connect people on Twitter versus how you connect people on Instagram versus how you connect people on YouTube is different. But the goal of the platforms is to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. And they reward you if you're able to do that for your audience. So basically, when people say the algorithm, that's the algorithm. It's how do I keep people on the platform today, and they reward you with more impressions, more views, and therefore more money. And then finally, it's all about, do you understand social dynamics, which means who is your brand in society, right? Which is why you might be the best creative person, be psychological, you know the platform, but if you don't know the difference between what Ryanair can get away with and what British Airways can get away with, then it's not transferable. So if you can learn all those different steps, then you'll be really, really great at social. But now going back to practical steps now, if you were to give Ahmed a time machine, like if you had a time machine and you go back to you at the start, what steps would you give yourself to get back to where you are right now?
It's interesting because again, you're talking about AI and all these technology and how you can use a lot of the stuff to help enhance and make life a little bit easier. But it's funny, I feel like especially in the world human psychology and human emotion, there's a lot of things AI can't replicate. Especially what we do across the streets, you can't replicate a random stranger in the streets of New York talking about how he lost his mother, for example. You can't replicate that, So I feel like even people wanting to create content across social, you still have a massive advantage. Where a lot of companies and individuals are focusing across technology and AI, which is absolutely amazing, of course, there's still this massive gap that AI can't replicate with human emotion and make you cry, make you think, make you wonder, or of course can make you inspired, etc. But there's so many elements of human emotion that AI probably can't do yet. So even myself, if I was to go back to what 6-7 years or whatever, I probably do the exact same thing as I'm doing now, and of course understand how AI, etc., and all this stuff can help enhance what I'm doing. But for us, it's like I think we're in an interesting position where we have this an enormous potential, just triggering human emotion still. So I feel like we're in a fortunate position.
Yeah, and what I'd give myself is, first and foremost, building a community or building your audience There's a formula to it, and it's always replicable. But the thing is, it didn't start in the social era. It started way before our time, right? And a lot of people talk about, how do I build my own community? No. Your community already exists, right? You just have to find out who is out there that believes in what you believe, but is underrepresented. And then you go and you mean something to that audience, and you bring together more people like that. You create an experience that they love and they share to other people. You unlock the barriers that exist within their life, and you document the journey, right? If you do that and you start with a platform that comes naturally to you, once you hit a particular point, you go to the next platform. So start with depth. Don't just try to be everywhere at once. Start somewhere you can win, and then when you become big in one platform, it's so much easier. Look at Ronaldo, right? So Mr. Beast spent years building his audience.
And millions.
And then Ronaldo goes in, and then he jumps to 50 million followers over a week. It's because he got depth in one area, and then when he said, well, I'm now in this place, it was so easy to transfer. But then if he was trying to build his YouTube channel when he was focusing on football, he'd be terrible at both, right? But, so one thing I want to do is, I know that we've been speaking a lot, and I know this is not part of the talk, and we'll probably have to share a mic, but I want to put the mic out to the people so we can get maybe 2 or 3 questions out, and me and you can freestyle on it, right?
do it.
So I'll give my mic out. I don't know whether we can give it out to somebody over there. Does anybody have any questions? All right, cool. So I don't know whether we can pass this on to somebody. Does it work? Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, thank you. So what I've seen is that in content, a lot of the times, something will become successful, and then you'll see people start replicating that across the different content. How do you continue differentiating yourself when that happens to ensure that you provide the best content?
Cool. Do you want to take that? Or should
That side, making content different, was that the basic?
people copy your content?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, even with us, like we were in a fortunate position where with street interviews now, you go on TikTok, you see it everywhere, and people dancing and many stuff anyway. But we were very fortunate, obviously, A, to start a little bit earlier than a lot of people. And secondly, what changed everything for us was branding a microphone. The simple microphone has Dose of Society, and that literally changed everything for us. Because before that, we were doing interviews, but there'll be subtle branding, top right corner, logos. But this microphone just changed everything for us, you know? So we realized, even again, 4 or 5 years ago when we decided to use a microphone, like was debating, we need something that's going to make us a little bit different, because now we're seeing a lot of competitors, people doing a lot of, you know, stuff across the streets, across different parts of the world. What's going to make us different? And we debated, was thinking about a sofa, we thought about, you know, a mic thing, and we thought about many different ideas. But, you know, we've been fortunate again to, you know, build something with a microphone, with a great logo, hopefully I think a great name also, that resonates with a lot of people. And as Elf said, like, people are looking for your content already. It's just creating it and starting doing it, man. People are craving for emotionally led content. So it's out there already. But again, that subtle branding changed everything for us. So yeah.
Yeah, for me, first and foremost, people don't buy into the content that you're creating. They buy into why you're creating that content in the first place and what you represent, right? Going back to the whole thing about EQ, if the best thing about your brand can be copied, then you deserve to lose, right? You almost have to have yes, we're creating this content right now because that's what people resonate with, and it's obviously very smart to go with the tide, but why you do your content should never change. So you should have to be really, really firm on, like, for example, there's Apple and there's Android, so why do people still buy Apple? They have the same features. Sometimes the Android phone is better, but you buy into the psychology of being an Apple user because you know what it represents. So beyond the content, what does your brand actually represent? And people buy into that. So no matter whether you're the flavor of the month or not, people will keep coming back because of what you represent and who you are. So I'd focus there and then look at what content's working right now or conversation narratives that are working right now and just evolve with the times. That's the best way to go. And also, move at the speed of creators, not at the speed of brands. And also, don't move at the speed of your competitors. Look for other people in other spaces that are doing very well and find your innovation over there. Go.
Hi, thank you both so much. You've touched on a lot of things that I've just been done down. Elfried, I'm going to need your definition of creativity one more time because that was amazing. And I also have a question for Ahmed, but the both of you. So you really touched on moving towards EQ and also building an authentic community through being raw and unrefined. Now, when it comes to finding your community that already exists and vulnerability and the boundaries around that, but also being authentic and real, but protecting your personal brand and identity, how would you navigate that? And if you have examples, please do share.
Okay, I'll start with the definition. So like I said, a lot of people think that I'm creative. I'm not creative. I thought I was going to be a doctor until I saw a Steve Jobs iPhone keynote, right? But really, it's all about references. So experience different things, see what works somewhere else, and put it all together. My take on community and how you mean something is you have to be the enthusiast, not the expert. Right? Go into the comment section, see what people are posting, see other people that are trying to do what you're doing, and see what people are not being served at in the comment section. You have to get dirty, you have to speak to people, and you have to connect with people, figure out what are the issues and challenges they're trying to face, and you try to serve those challenges better than everybody else. But then you have to keep learning and unlearning and iterating as the time goes, because what worked for you yesterday won't work for you today, won't work for you tomorrow. So if your goal is as simple as we want to tell human stories, you have to tell human stories based on what humans need today. And every single time you keep evolving, you'll always be one step ahead of everybody else because they're trying to copy you, we're just trying to copy the cause, right? And that's the difference. But I want to do more, but we're unfortunately out of time. We have this red thing that's like blinking at us saying we have to get the hell off this stage.
But we'll be over there if any questions.
We'll be over there if everybody has any questions. But thank you so much for having us in London. We love you.